A couple of weekends ago, I really screwed up while I was trimming trees out my front yard. I was loading probably my third or fourth truck bed full of tree branches and other tree trimmings, and I scuffed up the nice taillight on my 2019 GMC Denali, which, was upsetting, but it is just a truck and I know how to fix stuff like that. So today I'm gonna show you how you can fix that yourself. Now, if you're an enthusiast, you probably already have all the tools I'm talking about. If not, you might decide to pick some up, but I'll also talk about how you can get around some of the tools. So let's get started and take a look at what we need for this project. So here are all the tools that you're gonna need to do this job the way that I'm doing it. This is my flex polisher. It has both a rotating action and a random orbital action. Now this is combined with these two pads. We have a light pad and a heavy cutting pad. The purpose of this is to cut quickly through scratches, scuffs, and swirls. On something like taillights, you could go by hand. Taillights are going to be softer than paint. Paint, sometimes you even have to use sandpaper on. Now the next piece I want to talk about is clay bar. You're going to want to use a good clay bar to prep the surface to remove all the contaminants from your taillight. You don't want to be polishing with a bunch of dirt and debris. You also want isopropyl alcohol or some other kind of degreaser that you prefer to clean up your paint. Now to do your cutting, you're also going to need correcting polish. Over here I have the regular correcting polish from Adams, and here I have a finishing polish. Now, multi-step is not always necessary. If you have one compound you like, go ahead and use that. If you're going by hand, I would recommend starting with a pretty heavy compound. You will also need detail spray. This is going to be useful to clean things up as you go along. If you are using a machine polisher, I think having ear protection is also an important piece of this. Now, whenever you're done polishing, you're going to want to protect your paint again. In my case, I'm going to use this Adams Graphene ceramic spray coating. You'll also need some towels. I have my nice buffing towel, which I'm going to use for the application of the graphene. And you're going to need a kind of a regular terry that you're going to use for general cleanup. So guys, here's the damage we're talking about. This scrape goes right along here and it kind of almost wraps around. And just to get you another angle, there it is. It is relatively deep. I could feel it with my fingernail. Before buffing, I usually recommend doing a bit of a decontamination. So we're gonna grab some isopropyl alcohol and we're just gonna clear this area up. One neat thing about taillights is they're not made of the same plastic, typically, as the headlights, which is why you usually don't see them yellow and fade. They're actually much tougher and more resistive. And what that means is once you've buffed your taillights, you don't have to worry about clear coating them like headlights. What we want to do now is take a small piece of clay bar and kind of work that clay bar into a patty. I'm going to add just a little bit of detail spray, and then we're going to use the clay bar. Man, this car is clean. It's just gliding right along. Nothing's coming up. So now we can toss this clay bar, grab our rag. Nice and ready and very staticky. Now we're going to take our pad and apply just a little bit of the correcting polish from Adams here. Just a tiny bit. You don't need a whole lot of product to get started. We want to wipe it around. We're going to do a light pass and see where that gets us. We can see the product and the residue from the taillight, the plastic, and some of the pad is dusting everywhere. So we want to stop. We just did a very quick pass. And look at that, the scratch is pretty much gone in just one very light pass. But we can see it's still not perfect up here, so let's do another light pass. We're going to take a little more product and we're going to apply it to the pad. We'll get everything off here. And guys, once you do see all that dusting from the pad and from the plastic, you definitely want to stop. And what you want to do at that point is kind of look at your surface and decide if you need to apply more product. Definitely don't just keep going and rubbing all that dust in forever. It's not going to come out well, and you're not getting good cutting power. The cutting power is all happening right at the top. Now we are nearly perfect. We have just a little smudge up here that I want to get out. Now I can see there's still a little bit of imperfection in here and maybe a little bit of very light marring here. So we'll give it another pass, and I think I can actually get in here with the polisher without having to do it by hand. I don't see any more inside marring here. I think overall this just looks great now. I'm gonna switch to the soft pad to finish it with the Adams finishing polish. So let's give that a shot. We can now use a fresh towel with some isopropyl alcohol to decon it. So guys, check that out. It is like it is brand new. That scratch is totally gone, and that was a pretty deep scratch. I love how that came out. That looks just as good as it ever did. I'm gonna use my graphene ceramic spray coating to coat this lens, and I have done the whole truck in C-quartz, but I'm gonna have to redo it pretty soon. I can already tell the C-quartz is starting to wear off. We're gonna set this thing on spray, put a little Adams into the applicator, and just spread it around. And keep in mind, if you're not doing this in a well-ventilated area or you're doing a bigger surface, you wanna wear a good respirator. You don't want to breathe this kind of stuff in. Now we're going to time 2 minutes, and then we're going to wipe it up. And it's been exactly 2 minutes, and now we can just wipe up the graphene. And then once you've flipped your towel, just keep going, get the last remaining little areas, and look at that, that's beautiful. That is like nothing ever happened, guys. What I hope you learned from this video is that something like the scratch on my taillight, while it was upsetting to see, it was something I knew I could fix. It really takes just 5 to 15 minutes with the correct tools to take care of something like this. It takes a little longer when you're shooting a video, but even if you're thinking to yourself, well, hey, Dimitri, you have tools that I don't have. You have that nice polisher. I don't have that polisher. Well, it's true, the polisher helps a lot, but because this material is so much more easy to work with than paint or even headlights, you can actually polish by hand very effectively. If you have a strong enough compound on a terry cloth, you could just work little swirl motion with your hand just like the polisher is doing, and you will get through that plastic. You saw how quickly that scratch disappeared. Most of it was gone in one very quick pass. And guys, I didn't cut tons of video out of this. The passes were really that quick. So think about doing it by hand. You could totally do it. It's not like hard paint. If we were working with hard paint and I had to scratch that deep, I might be sanding. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love it if you could subscribe, click the like button, and leave me a nice comment. It does mean a ton to me. I really appreciate it. I love feeling like we have this community going. And of course, it does help my channel grow and provide you guys more of this content. So I hope to see you again really soon and catch you down below in the comments.